Okay, this is the Sam Oxer Jr. Show coming to you from Frederick, Maryland, live. And we've got a great pair of guests tonight. Uh, they have known each other for a while, but this is going to be interesting. Before we start with that, I want to say thank you to the Shirt Gallery down in Martin, Tennessee, for supplying our shirts and also for T-shirts that we're going to get made for that. And they're just down the road from Oxford, Kentucky. You know they're good. So also, what else we got here? Lineup coming up this on Thursday. I have Donnie Couch. Donnie Couch is a nitro tuner from the West Coast. Uh, he's done extensive traveling with the Snake and Mongoose and all those guys, and he'll be on Thursday. And then Tuesday, John Clore with Ford Motor Company will be on Tuesday, and he'll be with Mike Ray, who is a Mustang Club manager. I'll call it that. And then on the 28th, Thursday, we will have none other than Don Hardy himself on there. So look forward to that. And we got a few more lined up for August also. Can hardly believe August is here. But anyway. All right, our first two guests here. First of all, Gary Gore from we all call him from Old Dominion, but he's been a number of racetracks there or down south, and also we have Hayne Dominick with us. So anyway, this pair has a knowledge of way more than I got. So anyway, let's see what we got here. So anyway, guys, welcome aboard, and hey guys, let's start with you guys are so much history. But before we start there, let me see if I got any comments here. Like, tell me to get off the air. No, no. Okay, Perry Ford. Hello, everyone. So, all right. Anyway, Gary, we will start with you, and we know you've been around a while, and especially your dad and the main. The thing I remember about your dad, the first time I went down to Old Dominion, was pulling in there, and he had the gun on his side. And I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "Man, this place, I gotta watch here." But anyway, it's
Well, things
great
used
stuff.
to be a little rougher back then than they are now.
I was going to say, I thought, man, this is a killer here. We better behave here, or else we're going to be in deep trouble, you know. So, but anyway, uh, tell us about getting started. Did y'all just your dad and I'm sure the whole family, but did y'all just think about it one day and said, "Oh, let's build a racetrack"? Or
Well,
how'd you
no, it was actually my uncle Wally
is
that
that right?
drove roadsters back then on the oval track.
Oh,
And my dad and my uncle Bill used to go with him all the time. And it was a situation where when you'd go race, that things were pretty poorly run. And then you always every racetrack had a driver's benevolence fund where they
yeah.
took part of the purse and put it in that each week for when somebody got hurt. And
Oh,
of course,
jeez.
when somebody got hurt, the promoter had stolen the money.
Yeah.
That was par for the course.
Right.
And my dad just felt like he could do it better. So he bought Old Dominion Speedway in 1951, and that's where we got started. And we were basically on a shoestring for years and years and years. And he worked a 9 to 5 job, and then worked at the racetrack in the evenings and on weekends.
I was gonna
Then
ask you.
in 1953, Bill Jeanette from the Arlington Police Department
Oh yeah.
got up with him and said that the teenagers needed someplace to go race. And he said, "Well, I don't have enough room." And Bill said, "Well, you just put it in and we'll make it work." So that's basically what happened. It had a concrete starting line, and you ran off into Virginia red clay, and they'd have to stop and water it to keep the dust
Keep the
down. And that's
dust
where
down.
we got started. That went on for a couple of years, and then we came up with enough money to pave. But
The other
I mean,
part.
there were no drag strips back then.
Yeah.
It was that or race on the street, and that's what the local police departments were trying to do, was to get the kids off of the street because they were killing so many from racing on the
Yeah.
highway.
Right. I believe that one. So, where did Haney come along on this deal?
Oh, geez, he was
Did he help at the racetrack?
not back in those days. No, I had a different career path. I originally worked for the federal government, but I was in the Ramrods.
Oh
Ramrods did the car show in Washington, and I was part of a race team and all partner in a race car, and we of course raced at a number of local DC tracks, but including Old Dominion.
Right.
But I went from that job to running the Car Show Association. Moved to Detroit, ran that, and from there to IHRA. And while I had known the Gores, I didn't know the Gores well until I got to IHRA.
Right.
And actually sanctioned their tracks. And
that's when he found out how difficult we were to deal with.
and at whatever point I ended back in Washington and had the opportunity to take over management of Old Dominion Speedway. So at that point, we really got close, and Gary and his brother Dickie helped me, and I got to know his dad real well, and we became fast friends, traveled together, and have maintained a really close relationship for years.
And Hayne always glosses over the things that he has actually done. Right. And when he said that with the managing the car shows, he's talking about the International Show Car Association, which back then had how many shows a year?
We got it up to like 250 some or
oh
whatever.
My gosh. Yeah. Boy, you had headaches.
Time.
What a headache that must have been.
It was all good education and promoting, believe me. It all you make a lot of mistakes, but you learn a lot of things along the way.
Yeah, that's true. If you're a promoter, you learn a lot every week.
That's exactly right. You never stop learning.
Never stop.
All right, now you got to go ahead and tell them the rest of it.
What's that?
About the NASCAR Busch Series races that you got on in the DC Grand Prix.
I read something about.
You got to pull that stuff out of him.
No, I after IHRA, I got hooked up with some people and worked on NASCAR events and ran some NASCAR Busch races at South Boston Speedway.
Yeah,
and from there got involved with a couple of guys and put together the Cadillac Grand Prix of Washington D.C. down at RFK Stadium.
Oh yeah.
So that was a big deal, and
complained about the noise.
Well, yeah, that was the excuse, but it went beyond that. But we'll leave it at that. But it was another really neat event. We did one, and then lost the opportunity. We had actually a 20-year contract to do that at DC, and found out that DC didn't own the property, and they had done the contract with us, and the federal government came back and said we had to do a complete environmental impact study and obtain federal permits before we could do the second event. So that kind of killed it.
Yeah, I bet. No doubt about it. I read today where NASCAR is going to run a street race in Chicago.
Yes, good luck.
It's confirmed.
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine trying to put that on.
I can't imagine going there.
Yeah, no. You need those guys need to ride with a gun and all in the car. They don't need a steering wheel; they need a gun.
And they're going to do it on July 4th weekend.
Yeah, that's the other thing. My God, is that crazy? Gee, they'll kill another 20 people up there. Great.
You have to wonder when the adults are going to come back and run NASCAR, don't you?
That's that one there. When first time I actually heard it, I said, there's no way they try and do that, but prove me wrong there. So,
No, we're all scratching our heads, I promise you.
yeah,
We can't wait.
yeah, you can't wait for this disaster.
We laugh because we have our own thoughts and ideas that we've developed through the years through our experience, and when we talk about it, a lot of people look at us and wonder, what the heck do you know? We're just dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Generally speaking, we came up through a period of time when things were successful the way they were
Right.
organized, promoted, and all.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure it's that way today.
I tell you, well, there's just so much TV money in it
Yeah.
for those guys that people say, well, there's nobody in the stands. Well, they don't need anybody in the stands for that matter, part of it, but because the TV money is so strong. But NASCAR is supposed to come down heavy on them, not promoting the show enough. But they probably don't have any promoters either on some of them. Some of those tracks are horrible, But yeah. So Gary, whenever the track started taking off, what did you all do that actually made it come alive?
Well, I think it was the thing where it was as much organization as anything else, and the fact that drag racing was in its infancy. And back then, everybody wanted to go race. If you went to the races on Sunday, you saw half of the kids that you went to high school with during the week.
Yeah.
And it was a happening deal. Right. And you introduced safety. What was safety then? The cars weren't very fast, but it absolutely was a fun time.
Yeah.
And there were so many things that people experimented with back then, that the ingenuity of everything, it wasn't a thing like it is today where you can go buy speed. Back then, you had to have some knowledge and you had to build it and you had to make it work.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
You definitely had to engineer most of it yourself to make anything work. But, and then things evolved to now that you're right. You just, you spend the money and you go fast. That's all.
The innovation is gone. The innovation was what was really exciting back then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Plus, we learned how to cheat better. That was always a better factor.
Big part of it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I know we spent many a evening after a race tearing cars down. Yeah, and it seemed like every time you learned something that they did to cheat, they'd come up with something else.
Something to beat it.
You were always a step behind.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing that always used to tickle me was we'd find the problem, we'd find out what someone had done, and we'd be the bad guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam, today you talk to people about class racing, like what it used to be.
Yeah.
And they don't have a clue what you're talking about.
No,
when you ran, 35 or 40 classes.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to win your class to get to the eliminator runoff.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
It was a whole different time.
Whole different world then. But, things evolve, and I don't know, like I was saying before, you take 16 cars, nitro cars, and you're lucky to get 3 of them make a pair
with
a decent run, It's either light up the tires, knock the supercharger off of it, or blow it up, period. I don't know how those guys afford it. I mean, even with the sponsors, how much can you blow up?
Well, there's so much technology in all the professional classes now.
Yeah.
And if I was going to say, if you don't have $1 million to go race every year, but it far and exceeds $1 million anymore.
Yeah, I think they've surpassed that one. It's just, but I see some of these guys, and their houses are up for sale, and they're selling $10 and $15 million houses. I'm going like, damn, it wasn't bad, so bad after all, was it?
No.
It's
We have said for years, and I'm sure you have the same feeling, that racing is a sickness.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
there's
and
none of that, and you can't get away. Well, look at our ages, and we're still farting around
right.
with stuff.
And
You know?
addiction.
And addiction, yeah.
It's crazy. It really is. I always say, it's a drug you can go to rehab for, but this thing here you can't go to nothing for.
Yeah.
True.
Nothing fixes it, But wow.
Well, it's all the people. I think that the big thing about racing, obviously, everyone is interested in going out and building and racing and winning. But the other thing is the people. You become part of something that's a big community.
Right.
And you enjoy it, and you don't want to leave it. You want to be involved in it. So you do whatever you can to remain involved,
To
be a
stay
part
there.
of it.
Now, how did the Oval Track do, Gary, on the Old Dominion? You still have the other track down in
We still have
Waynesboro.
East Side in Waynesboro, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Dickie always did a great job at Old Dominion. I guess he took over from my dad. I'm guessing in the mid to late '60s.
Yeah.
My dad and I went to Waynesboro, but Dickie had always had his touch on, his finger on what was happening.
Yeah.
And the pulse of racing, and always was able to come up with a class that was affordable at first,
Right.
to keep the place in cars. I mean, that's always been the whole deal, that you got to have race cars to put people in the seats.
Yeah.
And he had the ability to to come up with a class that was affordable. And
Right.
when he came up with the NASCAR late model stock cars, and I want to say that was 1980.
Yes. I think
Or
so.
early 80s. And you figure that started at Old Dominion. And at one point, that was the biggest class nationwide that NASCAR had.
Right.
Yeah. And, that pretty much saved everybody for years until that evolved to where it became a monster like it is today. And
Yeah.
probably cost you half as much to run one of those competitively now for a national championship as what it costs to run a Busch car.
Yeah.
Xfinity.
Xfinity.
Xfinity car. Yeah. Nothing cheap about that.
Yeah.
Dale Jr. running the four of them in Xfinity. That's a costly thing there. Of course, I'm sure he's got enough sponsors to everybody waiting in line for his deal.
But back in the day like that with the drags, we were lucky enough, and a lot of the stuff started out west and a lot of it started here in the east, but where the super stock cars evolved to the altered wheelbase cars, to the funny cars. And then, everybody got to run a nitro, and then they couldn't afford to run nitro, and they ran alcohol, and that made another circuit of cars available to the small racetracks. And then the pro stock cars came along, and that was a good competitive class for a long time that, you could run without having to mortgage the farm.
Yeah.
Well,
they ruined that. I mean, that was this thing today. I don't, of course, they got this other class, which I have not seen, but the today with the pro stockers, and then I guess you can run any engine you want, whether it's a Ford or Chevy or a Mopar or whatever.
Yeah.
That's great. I never heard of such a thing. Crazy.
Well, and they have what are they, factory
stock
now?
now.
And they're really exciting to watch. But who'd have thought they'd have got that quick? So, that fast on a small tire.
Yeah. This I think it's 8-inch tire, 9-inch tires.
9-inch tires, yeah.
But
And they're flying.
And this other class, I guess everyone's building one for. But that's a real mixture between the super stockers and then the pro stockers. I didn't exactly understand exactly how that worked. You could have body in white, uh, and then you could do whatever with the rest. I don't see where that's much different than what we got, you know. But
Well, we lost a lot of excitement
yeah,
from what we had years ago when we had, the gas and modified cars and the
yeah,
super stock cars, and you had something affordable that you could go race, and you could run your weekly
right,
racetrack, and you could earn points and go to a national event, and
yeah.
it was a really special deal.
Well, I don't even know how it works today. If it works at all, you know, God, it's crazy.
And I don't think either of us can tell you how it works either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh man. So what's in the future here? Show next year at Old Dominion? I mean,
Well,
Old Dominion.
And
No,
Mason Dixon.
Mason Dixon.
Mason Dixon for sure, and we're
Yeah.
hoping that the event that we've got coming up this Sunday.
Oh,
Saturday.
is it this
I'm
Sunday?
sorry, excuse me.
Saturday.
Shoot me. It's Saturday,
Saturday.
23rd. That we're hoping this is a start of something that will go good at Summer Duck Dragway. The place
Oh, is it Summer Duck?
Yeah, Summer Duck, and they've Curtis Stewart has really spent some money in there, and it is a pretty place. It's a class operation,
Yeah.
and they lengthened the racetrack some.
Well, that's good.
And we're hoping that we can build this thing, into something that's going to work in this area. There's
Right.
really in this part of Virginia, until you get over the mountain to Waynesboro, the nostalgia part of it really doesn't. There are no big events, so hopefully this thing works.
Well, shoot, the weather's good. You've been hitting the weather, I tell you, for
Been lucky.
Yeah,
how many years?
we've been
Right.
doing these things. So, like I say, I did my first one in the first nostalgia event in 2002.
Okay.
That was the year that Nancy started the Hall of Fame deal.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I understand she's doing another deal or something.
At Coastal Plains in November, the first weekend in November,
Wow.
she's doing a race and a car show.
Sounds like
and-
cold weather.
Well, we're hoping not. We were hoping to go swimming.
Oh yeah, my God.
down there, I don't think
I
it
don't think
gets
so.
cold quite as early.
No, it doesn't.
It
It
should
doesn't.
probably be in the 70s or so.
And what track is that?
Coastal Plains down near Jacksonville,
Yeah.
North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Well, and it sounds like it's a racetrack more suitable to a nostalgia event. When you take a nostalgia event to too big a facility,
Yeah.
you can have a nice crowd, but unless it's assholes and elbows in a small
Yeah.
place that
Gets
you don't
lost.
think there's anybody there to start with.
Right.
And if it's a small facility and you've got a crowd, everybody bumps into everybody and says, well, I think I know him.
All right.
And chances are you do, and they'll talk and have a good time.
Yeah.
That's what I say. The big facilities most of the time just don't work.
Yeah.
The modern facilities don't have
Yeah.
the same atmosphere that the old
Oh
ones
no,
do.
no.
And I think the thing that Gary's events have really tried to emphasize is the people, and with the nostalgia events having a lot of and we're all old timers, but having the old timers there doing the reunions or doing
Right.
things that gather people so that they can renew friendships, but also the fans get to see a lot of the people who were their idols and all when they were interested in racing as a young person.
Right. Right.
I think a lot of the older drivers don't realize the impact that they had on the young fans and the teenagers and
Yeah.
the 20-somethings back then.
Right.
That was a big deal to go to your weekly racetrack and stand right up next to the fence and
Yeah.
see this guy from your hometown running somebody of national notoriety, and then you go back into pit, and you can get close enough, to talk to the drivers, and
Sure. Yeah.
people do remember you.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have gray hair, but they do.
Yeah.
I mean, we have
Yeah.
a hard time sometimes convincing people to come out,
Yeah.
and they'll say, "Well, nobody's going to remember me." And then they come
Exactly
out
right.
and they find out that people do remember them and
Oh,
have
yeah.
a good time, and then we're able to, to get them out in the future.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
they all revel in the opportunity to sit and tell stories, whether it's to other racers or fans or whatever. They want to talk about all of their experiences and tell you what it was like.
That's right.
And
That's right.
Sam, you'd be surprised how fast those cars were back now. They hear those stories today.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's crying,
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to record some of them, put them on the air.
They're tall tales.
Right. Car picked up a full second.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. And they did a whole shot, and they're like, I don't remember that one. It's crazy. But,
well, for us with small drag strips, the match race stuff was our bread and butter for a long time.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Long
I mean,
time.
we did well with it, and ran up north Atco quite a bit with match races, and yeah, I mean that was really good. And then 8-car fields, 16-car fields. My dad headed up a lot of what we ran, and Frank LeSueur,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
yeah, him and Frank, all we do is me and Danino. We just say, where are we going this weekend, and we read it off to us, and okay, just have them ready, because we run 2-3 times a weekend. So
There were so many tracks around the Mid-Atlantic.
Oh,
that
yeah.
it was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there was any place in the country that was as easy
Oh,
to
no.
race as it was in the Mid-Atlantic.
yeah, definitely was, and there was more money to be made in this
Yep.
area too.
It used to be a hoot where Don Nicholson or somebody else had a number 2 car.
Yeah.
You think you were booking Don Nicholson, and they'd show up with the number 2 car, and the promoter would be ready to kill him.
Right,
They
exactly.
didn't get the guy that they booked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've heard all the stories. It was that's the way it happened in those days. Know who was going to show up in place of Don, or Bill didn't do that. Jinkus didn't do that, but
Yeah, some of the Southern guys were pretty bad about that.
they were creative about
Yes,
it.
yes, they were. And that was a time when the racetracks were chasing the Sam Auctors and the people for those shows.
Yeah.
And so in the wintertime, everybody would be booking shows.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
and the late 60s, early 70s, things were changing so rapidly that you'd book cars in the winter, and April or May, you'd have the race, and one car would be injected and the other car would be blown, and then you got somebody with carburetors. You never knew what you were going to have.
Exactly.
What you were going to show up with.
But that goes back to what Sam was saying earlier. The thing that really excites the fans is seeing 2 cars go down the track together, and one of them gets to the finish line first.
Yeah.
Back in those days, you always had races. It was very seldom one car made a pass. It was always a race, and it could have been 2 dramatically different types of cars, but there was a race.
Yes, that's right. That was back then. That's the way it was. But today's world, you can't tell who's going to do what.
That's right.
But, and I remember we ran up at York, the 4-lane thing at York, quite a bit. Boy, that was a killer on engines. Because unlike today, when they got this
The 4 wide.
4 wide, and they got 2 trees, 3 trees, or whatever, 4 trees. But they're able to see the other lane stage. Back then, we only had 2 trees, and we could not see, that well over to the left or right, whichever you were in. And oh boy, that was you'd hang that engine out to it wanted to cry. It was turning so high. Oh, geez, waiting for it to explode. But yeah, but that was fun. I mean, that was really. I'm sorry to see that show gone up at York, really, at the fairgrounds there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
well, but you say that, but you think of it's just like with the nostalgia shows that we do, that when you start inviting the personalities to come to shows, Sam, we've lost so many of them. There's not many, many people left. And the racers of today, they don't have the following. I'm not talking about the forces and those kind of people.
Yeah, right.
Like on a regional basis.
Yeah.
You really don't have anybody that has appeal.
Yeah. And that's true. And that's the tough part, to be able to draw people in to do these shows, and being able to have those people be able to bring that following with them, and some of them don't have that kind of following. No. So it makes it tough, really.
Well, you have as we had talked about off the air earlier, the street outlaws and that type of program. But to be honest, for me, I mean, if you've got a big an MIR or a VMP where you've got that, you're that far, your spectators are that far away from the racetrack, and you got that kind of crowd control, maybe not so bad. But for a weekly racetrack, it just scares me to death that you're going to get somebody into the grandstand, or end up having a riot. I just have a tough time when you look down at the starting line and you got 500 people standing between the cars on the starting line.
Yeah, no, it is a crazy thing. There is the people around the cars. I can remember running up there at York, and there'd be so many people there that they'd be right up standing next to you on the starting line. I mean, like they tell you what the tack was on when you left. I mean, it's crazy stuff like that. And all you need to do is spit out a drive shaft.
Yeah. No regard for their own safety.
Yeah, exactly. But I can remember some nights up there. Wow. It was wild.
Yeah, it was a time and place for legends. There was no doubt about that.
It was absolutely an amazing show, with all those cars there and all the people there. That was, I think it was 1965. But to have that many people, and I don't think a bunch of them paid to get in. I think they just came in. I don't really think they put any money out, but it was everybody that was anybody was there. So.
Yeah, and I think Bill Holtz was the promoter then, and I'm sure he probably didn't care that a lot of those people didn't pay. It was such a
crowd. I mean,
such a great event.
Let them come on in.
Yep.
But you got a lot of press off of it.
Sure did.
A lot of press. So
yeah. That was a period.
So you got next year. You got next year's show lining up, and
we haven't. I don't think we've decided exactly what we're going to do yet.
Well, I know we're going back to
Mason Dixon. Yeah.
Hagerstown.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But the dates of the other shows were just not set in stone yet. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how the summer duck thing is going to work this week. With them talking about it being 96 degrees and humid.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Our appeal is to a bunch of, I can't say a bunch of old farts, but it's pretty close. Because those are the people that you want to see. Those are the people that make your show.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that you haven't seen in forever, and it gets them out of the house, and they have a good time.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're definitely going to do something. We're just, not sure of the dates
Not
yet,
which way
and
to
the
do it.
locations. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the fact that we've lost, you've lost more racetracks in this region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracks and racers, they're
Yeah.
disappearing fast.
Yes, they are, unfortunately.
My gosh.
Well, there's not many old school promoters still out there.
No, not really. Gosh.
We've enjoyed a great relationship with Elmer at
Yeah.
Mason-Dixon. I think that's one that we know the date. We're going to
Yeah.
maintain date continuity there and all. And we know we'll be doing some kind of special attraction and all. It's just a really significant event for us.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, it certainly was the other day. I couldn't ask for better weather.
Yeah.
Oh my, yes.
The
Yeah.
other week. It was
Yeah.
just fabulous.
Well, and with the pro stock guys, I mean, that turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
And that was your idea, Sam.
It
Yes,
was.
it
That's my idea. Every once in a while, I come up with an idea
There
that
you
works.
go. Keep them coming.
Keep them coming. Yeah. Gosh, yes.
It's really disheartening, though, to see the physical condition of some of those guys now.
I know.
Your heart just goes out to them.
Sad to say, some of them you don't even recognize, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you need name badges about a foot across them so you can read them.
Yeah.
For us.
But it's so nice that they come out and and everybody, like we said a few minutes ago, that everybody gets a chance to talk to them.
Yeah.
And tell lies.
And tell lies and back them up with more lies,
Right. That's the truth.
All right, guys. Well, you have any other interesting news that the listeners might want to hear?
I didn't know we were that interested.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's the old thing about, and I guess it is living in the past. And I dearly love to do nostalgia events.
Yeah.
To try to keep the memory of where drag racing came from alive.
Yeah.
I hate to see us lose that. And I know it means a lot to me to not let it die. And it seems like the nostalgia events nationally with Bowling Green and some of the stuff that NHRA has done have really turned out. They can continue to have growth with those events, and that's good.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
that's what
good.
we need.
Have you all been out there? I haven't been out there. Never.
Yeah,
we have
some
to bowl.
yeah.
Well,
Not
to Bowling Green, we have not been.
No.
Oh,
That's
okay.
one of the things we want to do. Yeah.
Right.
We have this bucket list that we need to get started on before we end up in the bucket.
Yeah, we don't want to read your name anywhere.
Yeah.
Now I was going to say, I think, and I look on myself this way, and I think Gary's probably pretty much in the same boat. We pinch ourselves sometime just to remind ourselves that we're fans who were lucky enough to make careers of our hobby.
Yeah.
And be a part of all of this. And it's the memories and all that keep you going.
Keep you alive. That's right.
Yeah, it's just so neat to be able to think back and to see all the people that you've met along the way and know and be a part of trying to see that it's recorded properly and passed on.
Oh yeah.
Somehow. It's a very special position to be in. So
I have something that I need to show you. Did you know that you were immortalized on a shirt?
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
scary. That's
I
scary.
bought this in Jacksonville, Florida, Let me see if I can get it around where you can see it.
Let me get this out of your way.
Okay. Okay.
Other way. There you go. Come up over towards Hayne. Oh yeah. Good.
How about that?
That's on a shirt.
Uh-huh. Have
on
you
a
ever
shirt.
seen that?
I've never seen it. I've never
Yeah.
seen it. No.
I thought I've been trying to remember to bring it to an event to give it to you for years.
That's cool.
That's the only one I ever saw.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I gave $50 for it
Oh my God.
10, 12 years ago just because you were on it.
There you go.
It's got to be worth 10 times that today.
Oh, at least, you
At
know.
least.
Jeez. That's
And
crazy.
what's funny on it, you're the only one that they didn't change the name on. It actually has your name on it. They changed name on the other cars.
Is that right? So they did not keep to the name that should have been on the car. Huh? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Well, I've been talking to a couple of diecast people about doing the '69 Mustang, but I haven't been lucky enough to get one of them that's willing to put the bucks into it. Yeah, and that's the one we auctioned off in Barrett Jackson in January.
Yeah.
That was, the guy paid $130 for the car. I never heard from him again. I gave him
And
one of
he's
my.
in Maryland, right?
He said he was from Calvert. No, not Calvert County. From Carroll County,
Wow.
right next door.
Yeah.
And he's never shown up. Never called. Never heard from
Like I
him.
said, I haven't heard of it showing up at any shows.
No, and that you would have known it if one of
You know, it might be in his living room.
possible, but it looks like he'd invited me to his living room and see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think.
How many of your old cars are still out there?
I have found every car, which is about 10 of them. I found every car but the '64 AFX Comet.
Really?
And that's really a weird one there because we sold the car, and the guy came to the race shop, picks it up, drives out the driveway. Never heard from him again. And as dumb as we are, we never got his name. We never got anything. All we got was his money.
But something like that you would think would turn up somewhere.
I know. I mean, I'm really floored that particular car, and I've stuck out feelers and everything else for it to show up, but nothing, absolutely nothing. And it's just strange that most of the time we sold a car, you'd see them at the track, or they call you and say, which way does this fit, or how do you put this on or that on or whatever. Never heard a thing. I don't know if he got home, wife killed him, buried him in the garage.
Buried him in the car, maybe.
Maybe in the car, that's what I mean.
I think one of the stories that I found really cute from when Mr. Banning was still alive.
Yeah.
We were at Henderson and we were talking about this same subject about what happened to the old cars. And
right.
He said, well, the first ones that we had, we ran them that one year and then took them put them in the shop and put the 6 cylinders back in them and painted them and sold them as passenger cars.
Passenger cars.
He said, we didn't have any old cars.
Right. Exactly. Oh my God. Well, the '65 Comet, supposedly, crazy story. It's too far to get into on here, but that car sold in Mecum last month or month before. I can't remember now. But anyway, it sold supposedly was mine, but unfortunately I didn't own it. But for $313,000.
Oh my God!
Wow.
I could not believe it. $313,000. And I think that's the highest priced one that's ever sold.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 8 of them, so. but
You figure that
but I
one.
never verified the car was the problem,
Yeah.
you know. So I only
Yeah,
got to
you'd hate to
believe.
think you paid that much for a clone, don't you?
May have, you know.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, you wonder though how many of those old cars, the early pro stock cars and the funny cars, are just sitting in people's garages that that nothing about, that are just sitting.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, the cars. There were so many, especially with Sox and Martin cars. There was a ton of clones done out there,
Yep.
and and Buddy knows which ones they probably are, and Danino knows which ones they probably are. But hey, if you bought it and you're happy, I guess it don't really matter.
Yeah.
As long
It's worth what you paid for it.
as
If you
that's
want it.
exactly what I said. If it's worth what you paid for, you're happy. So well. All right, guys, we could go on forever on these car deals. So anyway, we wish you guys luck, and
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
for
It's good
for
talking
summer
to you.
coming up here,
Yeah, it's this Saturday.
Saturday. And
Say bring
when are
a
you going to? Are you doing what's the other one?
East Side.
East Side,
East
Yeah,
Side
that's
is
it.
October 1st.
first.
October 1st. Okay,
Saturday, October
right.
1st.
There we go.
When it's a little cooler.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope it ain't too cold.
Yeah, that's what we're encouraging everybody Saturday to bring a easy up, a cooler, a hat, and sunscreen, and come on out.
There you go, and bring something to drink.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, guys, we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you being on the show. And
Okay.
if anyone wants to know, it'll be on YouTube as we speak, and also be on Facebook on my show page and my personal page. So anyone wants to take a look, they're welcome to do that. So also, let me remind you real good, if you guys can hang on the 21st, Thursday, we'll have Donnie Couch, a superstar from the West Coast. And 26, we have Ford Motor Company's John Clore on here, and Mike Ray, who is a Ford Mustang club guy that's like #1 in the country. And on the 28th, we have Don Hardy on there. So on the Thursday. So
How
anyway,
old would Don Hardy be now?
This is Don Jr. I should have
okay.
said that. Yeah, he died about a year ago. Hardy Senior. But yeah, that's another one. We lost.
Yeah.
So great guy. I did a ton of business with him because whenever we had Maryland High Performance,
Yeah.
we used to sell the hell out of those V8 Vega kits.
Yeah.
And they had all kind of package stuff. He had 12 bolt riggers, fit a Vega, and all that crazy stuff. So I don't know anybody want a Vega, but maybe there's still some people. Yeah.
Why a Vega when you could have a Maverick, right?
Yeah, right. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, don't even go there with that car. There's some of them we don't want to mention. Oh God. I still get a lot of people wanting to know, about T-shirts and all with the Maverick on it and other paraphernalia with it. So it was still a popular car. It wasn't very popular with me, but it's a popular car. So, all right, guys, we thank you again.
Hey.
And we shall see you around again. Hopefully, we'll be there next year. So
We'll
anyway.
keep you informed.
Yeah, thank you.
And you stay young now.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay.
But life is trying to knock me back down. So anyway, I'll do my best. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Right.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.